Hello and welcome to the Johnversations Podcast. As always, I'm your host, John Connor, saying thank you for spending a little bit of time with us this week. This is our first show back after our holiday break. So hope you had a very happy holiday, a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever you celebrate, whatever you get into. Hope it was wonderful. Hope it was filled with people that you love, people that you care about. Hope you're feeling healthy. Hope you're feeling happy. Hope you're feeling safe. If this is your first time checking out the show, thank you so much. I know there's a lot of stuff out there on the Apple Podcasts app or Spotify or Stitcher, whatever you listen to. Thank you for taking a moment to click on our show. Check it out. We're happy to have you. If you were a longtime listener, part of the family, thank you so much for coming back. We missed you. Happy to be back for 2022. And if you're an old listener, new listener, however you look at yourself, please take a moment, pause the show right now, go down into the show notes, and please make sure that you follow us on the socials. We are on Twitter at @Johnversation, Instagram and Facebook at Johnversations. So please, if you're not following us there, if you are new to the socials, anything like that, please take a moment and give us a follow, join the page, let us know what's going on. We want the show to be interactive. We want to hear your voice, what you like, what you don't like, who you'd like to see on the show. Really want to make sure that we're building a community. We do this show for you and the people who listen, and want to make sure that your voice is heard. So if you are somebody who interacts with us already, thank you so much for doing that. It is absolutely invaluable to us. I mean, I just can't explain how much it means. And again, just so happy to be back. Our guest this week, it's actually been a year, almost to the day, since she's been on the show last. She is a Louisiana native and an adult gerontology nurse practitioner certified by the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners. You may know her from a show called Married at First Sight. Miss Olivia Cornu is back with us this week. It was such a fun conversation. I love talking to Olivia. I would talk to her every week if I could. So super happy that you guys are here to hear it. Again, just glad to be back. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's jump into the episode. Olivia, thank you so much for being here. I was telling you a little bit before, but I've been super excited all week that you were coming back on. I've missed talking. I had such a fun time talking to you last time, and I kind of missed having that conversation. And so I'm glad that you're here again, really looking forward to it. And I just wanted to start by asking, how are you? I know you just had a birthday recently. You're a December baby. Pardon me. We just had the holidays. Like, how has everything been going? How was your holiday? How was your birthday? Kind of fill me in on what that was like.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed my time with you last time as well. It's kind of nice to catch up after about a year or so. But December has been a big month for me. It is all the time because my birthday's every December, but I just turned 32. And I had some friends coming to town, and we went to the Saints-Cowboys game, which was a lot of fun. And then they got COVID while they were here, so that was not fun.
Happy birthday.
Right? But I managed to stay safe, so that's good. Knock on wood, haven't gotten COVID. Yeah, and then the holidays, I just, went to my hometown, which is about 5 hours away from New Orleans, and spent time with my family. And my real dad was there with my whole family, so that was kind of cool. And then New Year's, my dad came down to see my house that I bought, because I've bought a house since the last time I've talked to you. And so he and I just spent New Year's together, very low key, really casual, brought in 2020, with my dad. I haven't done that probably since I was a kid. So it was really cool. It's been a busy month, but now January is here, and I'm trying to start the year off fresh and, keep all those New Year's resolutions that we're supposed to make.
Yeah, I have given up making them because they never, ever keep them. I have done a little bit better. I told my wife I was going to stop eating as much fast food, try to eat a little healthier. But she's in her master's program for social work. So she's doing internship, and I'm not the best cook. So I'm trying to balance it a little bit, but I still find last night, where did we go? I think we went to this place called Freddy's, or like we go to Zach, the kid loves Chick-fil-A. She's like, I want Chick-fil-A, or she calls McDonald's Old McDonald's. So she goes, can we go to Old McDonald's? So did you make it till midnight on New Year's Eve?
I did actually. So I actually drug my dad out to go watch fireworks. And of course I was like, well, we'll just go watch fireworks for a little bit, not thinking that, the fireworks show will be at midnight. So the fireworks happened and we came home there shortly after.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and we're trying to remember, we're like, since the kid has been born, have we stayed up till midnight? And every year it's like 9:30. All right, like going to bed. It's hard. I envy that a little bit, because like we used to be like big. We used to have like, we were the house that had the New Year's party and all that stuff pre-COVID and stuff. Now it's like, will you guys find something to do? Because we're gonna watch Gabby's Dollhouse and then go to bed at 9:30. So.
I know, ever since like Y2K, when you had to stay up to make sure that the world was gonna continue.
Oh yeah.
Like sleep's way more valuable than watching the clock change, and it's just another day.
Yeah, I had to be at work for my day job at 6:45 on New Year's Day. So I was like, I can't do it. I want to. We played Mexican train dice, and then like played spades, and that was like, or Mexican train dominoes. And then,
I love that game.
Oh, it's so much fun. Like, yeah, you have to have like 3 hours to kill, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, so first of all, congratulations on the new house. I did want to ask, because I know last year, like you moved in, and then shortly after is when you guys got like all those bad storms, and you got like another hurricane rolling through, if I've got the timeline right. Because I remember you were showing video, like you posted video from your doorbell, just kind of showing what the storm is like. So how was being down there for that, and is everybody okay and everything good?
Yeah, so New Orleans itself fared out pretty good. It was mostly like, we didn't have any flooding. It was Hurricane Ida, which was in August. I think it was, it hit the same day as Katrina, August 29th. And so we had a lot of wind damage. So there was a lot of roof damages. A lot of people still have tarps on their roof. But I go down to like down the bayou, like about 45 minutes south of here a lot. And they're the people who suffered. They still have so much trash that hasn't been picked up. People's homes are just, the roof's sunk in. They just got it really bad down there. And I just feel like the media didn't show that. They always focus on New Orleans, and then it happened to be the anniversary of Katrina when it hit, and we did okay. It's the people who, live basically off the land and the bayou and everything, and their houses are just not good. They're still living in FEMA trailers. And, but yeah, I understand now as a homeowner, why people don't evacuate. When you just bought a home and you're trying to think, okay, what is important to me? What of value do I need? And what can't be replaced? And I tell you, I brought my 3 animals and a little box of all my important documents. And I ended up going to my cousin's house just over in Mississippi once the storm went more west, instead of trying to make it to Shreveport, because traffic was terrible trying to evacuate. And so I just went, and they live about 45 minutes to an hour away, but it took about 2 hours to get there. And I just kind of camped out for a couple days until I needed to come back to work, because thankfully I have a great boss who was like, just go, I'll stay here. And when I'm done, y'all can come back safely, come back and we'll switch out. So I was very thankful for that. But yeah, it was, my house fared out well. Some damage on the front door from the light fixture swinging back and forth. But overall, I fared out well. And New Orleans, for the most part, did too. Thankfully, there's the flooding. We didn't have any flooding. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm glad that everybody is safe, because it watching the coverage, at least where they were showing it looked like the wind was really bad and the rain and the flooding. And it's interesting that you say that, because, I'm in the Nashville area, and we had some pretty bad storms a couple months ago with like a lot of flooding and things like that. People lost their homes and children. And like you said, if it's not like a big city, there's not really a lot of, news coverage. And, and I know, these people were hurting real bad. And then, geez, like that is also interesting because I wanted to ask you, when you were younger, when you think, because this just happened to us recently, but we had some pretty serious tornado warnings, and they touched down and end up hitting in Kentucky, north of us. Mm-hmm. But the first thing that my wife did is we have one of those blue boxes with all of our documents in it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I'm going to grab that, put that in the bathtub, because that's got like our social security, birth certificates, all that stuff. And I was like, you're a genius, because I would have never thought to do that. I would just have I wouldn't exist anymore because I didn't have any of that information. Right. So that, it's weird being a homeowner. I feel like it kind of comes along with almost, they call it like adulting, where you're like, mm-hmm. I got to make sure, because we have a bunch of big trees in our backyard, and it's like every bad storm, some limbs fall. And so I'm always out there like in my shorts and shoes with no socks, looking to see where everything hit. I just feel like like total homeowner nerd. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm like, I just need to make sure that all my shingles are still on, and my house is 2 stories, so it's pretty tall because our houses here are raised anyways. Mm-hmm. I'm like, and I don't have a ladder tall enough, and even if I did, I'm not going on the roof. So every time I would drive each direction coming to my house, I'd be like, can I see the roof? I don't see any missing shingles.
Do you have a hard time with heights? Like, are you cool with them?
Oh, I'm okay, but I don't know that I'd get on a ladder and go near a roof. I was a cheerleader growing up, and so, they would toss me in the air and do all the things. So I kind of got over that pretty young, but I don't need to go on the roof.
Yeah, I for some reason, that's like the one like petrifying fear that I have is heights. Like I do not, I'm okay with, I don't like flying. I'm okay with flying because I'm in something. But I remember we went to Cedar Point in Ohio, and we went on the Millennium Force when it first opened. And that first incline up, they dropped you down. I remember just like silent crying, just having like tears because I was so afraid of how high we were. And I told my wife, I'm like, I don't want to get on the roof. Like I have that body type where I'm made to roll. So like if I fall, there's nothing, you know what I mean? It's like, rolling meatballs down a slide. They're not going to stop. They're just going to keep going. So
I will say I'm not afraid of heights, but I do not ride roller coasters for that reason of I don't feel like I can be in control of my body. Like I feel like an airplane's different where you're just there and you're riding on the plane, but like, no, I don't ride rides.
Have you ever been to Cedar Point? I know it's a pretty big amusement park up north. But that Millennium Force, when it first opened, it had like the steepest drop out of any roller coaster that had been built. And so it's on a lake. So when you're going up, you're literally like horizontal with the lake, like, cause you're like making like an L shape cause you're just straight back. And I just was like, I was like 17 and was just like, I don't want to do this. And it was way too late. Like you're strapped in, there's nothing you can do. But so, yeah, I don't, I'm going to let my wife, when Millie gets old enough to do all that, it's going to be like, you got this. Like, I'm cool.
I'll hold all the bags. Anytime anybody wants to go ride a ride, I'll hold all the bags. We went to Six Flags when I was younger. So I grew up, not too far from Dallas. And so there was a Six Flags over there. And I rode the Texas Giant, which is the wooden roller coaster. I don't know if you've ever been.
The wooden ones suck.
Yeah. And as a little kid, like, I guess I was just tall enough to be able to ride it. Never again. Haven't stepped foot on a roller coaster since. I'll do a Ferris wheel, or like if you're in one of the cities, like Seattle has like the big wheel. I did that, but nothing that goes fast. And that makes me feel like I'm losing my breath.
Yeah, they have the ones, the other one I remember is the Mantis, where like you're standing up. And so you're standing straight up and it goes over, and then like they're literally just spinning your entire vertical body. And I was just, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll be the dad that has like, I'm holding the purse. Like I'll have the Mickey Mouse ears on. I'll be on the bridge at Splash Mountain. Just like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah. No roller coasters for me. None at all.
I did want to ask you, because you work in the hospitals, you're a nurse practitioner. You are on the front lines of what is going on. And it's kind of crazy to think that like we were talking a year ago and we're like, hopefully pretty soon, like this vaccine, and you know what I mean? But like, I know you had said like you had managed to not get it, and we're in the same boat where like just somehow we haven't got it. I know for us, this kind of feels like What's up, pup? No, it's okay.
I knocked on the table, knocking on wood again so that I wouldn't get COVID.
Right.
Hang on just a second. Ellie Ruth, come here. That was just me. And the dryer went off. Lay down.
Eleanor, I follow your Instagram.
I know, I was looking at it the other day and I was like, I don't even have like a recent picture of her on there. So I was going through the months on like when I can sit down and actually post stuff. Oh, hey, you want to come here? Come on. Okay, no. There you can look
Has the I know you've been doing training. Has that been going well?
Yeah, so we started with one trainer and then we went to a different one. And so because of the holidays, this was only our second training. But now we're going to do it every other week. But it's doing pretty good. She's just coming into her age and what kind of dog she is. And she's very good. Like, she doesn't run off. She doesn't, she doesn't mind the cats. She harasses one of them, but they're like best friends. They'll cuddle together and groom each other. But she just kind of has that herding personality. And so it's just we're working on trying to like manage who she is without changing who she is.
Yeah, because she's a mini Australian Shepherd, right? So she she wants to like kind of move everybody in direction.
Everything. Yes.
Yeah, I know you said, this is your second train. Is it kind of like, is it sort of almost like, finding like a therapist almost, where like you have to find somebody that like matches with your dog's personality? Because like I know when I first started therapy, I was like, I don't know if I like this part. You got to like try out a couple of people to find somebody. Is it kind of the same thing, or?
No, it just didn't. It just did. The timing and the scheduling didn't work out with the first one, and then we found the second one that a friend of mine was using, and he's amazing. And then he like a whole typed out sheet of like what to do and how to do the behavior. So you work with her after. You just only get to sit with him, and then each time we work on something different, and then we at home continue on with what we're working on. So like next week we're going to go to the park and work on children.
Oh, nice.
We're not a fan.
Oh, really? So it's almost like exposure therapy, where it's like,
so we're going to be far enough away where she can see them and be near them, but at close, where we can get her attention as well, because she's never had a bad experience with them, but she is just not a fan of the little ones. So
yeah, is she
either?
Is she like around other dogs? Is because my dog her name is Mrs. Bradley Cooper. I remember that. Yeah. So she is the most passive dog. Like if we bring her around another, doesn't matter the size, anything like that, she just flips over on her back and is like, do whatever you want. Like,
that's Ellie. She's so, I call her Miss Submissive, but yeah, she does that. And she goes to daycare a couple times a week, and, I keep her pretty socialized. So other dogs, she doesn't really mind. Now, since we've moved into our house, she's like, oh, this is my house. This is my toy box. Whereas she didn't have that in the house we were renting, but she was also younger. And so now she's like really coming to her own. She's got her own yard. She's got her dog door. Like this is her space. And so if it's a dog who's like Karen, from the show, she's brought Ali over twice now. And the first time she was very territorial, like, nope, this is mine. Don't touch it, whatever. She's a little bit of a bully. But the second time they came over, she kind of was like, oh, who are you? Why are you in my house? And then they were best friends and played nonstop. So we're trying to get them together more often. And I told Karen, I was like, just come over, throw them in the backyard, let them run around. I don't have to be here. I don't care. So yeah, she picks and chooses.
Yeah, it's like one of my really good friends has a Rottweiler, and it's just a super sweet dog. They get a really bad, just like bulldogs, like they get, or not bulldogs, but pit bulls, they get a really bad rap. It's like, all about like how they're brought up and stuff like that. But her name's Roulette. She's just super friendly, super sweet, but she will put my entire dog's head in her mouth, and my dog is just like, what's up? What's going on? Yeah. Like she came home and we're like, it feels like you got a bath because you were slobbered on so much. It's just, but she just is like, hey, what's going on? Like,
yeah, we have a Great Dane friend named George, and he's come over here a time or two, and he's just a big old Great Dane, and he just drools, and she will just like run right under the drool thing. And I'm like, oh no, like I have you because you don't drool. I don't want you coming home with drool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My sister-in-law, has I think she's a pit bull, the pit bull mixed with something, but she's not fixed yet. So like she has to wear a diaper, and they don't buy dog diapers. They buy like Pampers, and they just cut a hole where the tail goes. But the dog has figured out how to take the diapers off. So, when they come over and visit, or we're at my mother-in-law's house, you have to like watch where you're stepping, because you'll step in a dog diaper and just not, what I mean? You're like, oh no, it's off again. But, kind of going back to what we were talking about before, like, mentally, how has it been for you? Because, people who are listening know that you were on Married at First Sight, and like, that's when lockdowns happened. And, now it's, 2 years later, and we're still kind of in that, like, since we talked last, there was like that 2 weeks where COVID went away. Everybody got vaccinated. We're like, yeah, COVID's gone.
Yeah,
like, I'm going wherever. And then it's just, so like, with what you do and the people that you serve every day and things like that, like how have you been hanging in through that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough, 2 years, I think, for everybody. Healthcare in general, it's been tough. I don't see like, a ton of COVID patients, which I'm grateful for. But we do have our fair share of COVID patients. Hangers. Okay. Sorry, I thought she was walking in the door.
No, you're fine.
She's on her way home. So we get our fair share of COVID patients. But just the staffing shortages, everybody's just overworked. The nurses have bad days, the RTs have bad days. You show up and half your staff has COVID. So it's just really that is what's getting, I think getting to the most people. As far as like the patients that are coming into the hospital, at least in New Orleans, that's the only thing I can really speak of, and my hospital in general. New Orleans did a really good job at getting vaccinated, because we got hit really hard. And I think that people who lost their loved ones were like, hey, like this is serious. We got to crack down and, take care of ourselves. So at least this go around with Omicron, the patients that are hospitalized don't seem to be as sick like they were in the beginning. And with Delta, I think most patients were pretty sick. So that's a good thing. It's just the burnout. It's the burnout. Everybody's overworked, the understaffing, which I could go on and on about that, because no one wants to stay. Everybody wants to go travel and make the money. And I don't blame them, because your home facility isn't paying you. And if you can go somewhere else and take care of the same patient population and get paid 3 times as much, why not? You
got to get your hustle on.
Yeah, it's just the burnout from, being understaffed every single day and not having help. And, but yeah, it's been tough. And hopefully one day, like I don't even know what it's like to walk into a hospital anymore and not wear a mask. Like every day I wear a mask all day, every day. And so I'm like, one day, are we ever going to get to just walk into work without having to wear a mask? Like that's what I'm hopeful for, is that we don't have to mask every day for the rest of my career in healthcare.
Yeah. Well, and like in my day job, I work from home. So I'm really lucky, but my wife is in social work. So she was a case manager, and she serves like an underserved population. And so she would go in and wear her mask every day and stuff like that. And we had gotten vaccinated and the cases were down, and I'm from Michigan originally. So I hadn't gone home to see my family since like 2018. So in August of last year, we're going home. Like we're vaccinated, cases are down. Millie will wear a mask on the airplane. So we got to the airport like 2 hours before the flight and then landed. And I looked at my wife and I was like, wearing a mask this long sucks. Cause I'm always just at home. And she's like, yeah, I know. Like I wear it for 10 hours a day. So I was like, yeah. I'm so sorry. This is absolutely awful.
Yeah, so I just tell people a lot too, just to switch to the hospital mask, like the paper masks, because they're made to be breathable so that you can breathe better. Whereas like people started wearing the cloth masks and everything, and it's like they're like, I can't breathe. I'm like, yeah, because it's thick cotton you're trying to breathe through.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully one day we won't have to. And then I kind of go back and forth. Like in the beginning, we had obligations to Married at First Sight when everything happened. And then, people were getting really sick in our city and dying. And so it was like, okay, let's be safe. Let's be careful. But then, I also sit back and I still wear my mask. I'm fully vaccinated and boosted and went through all of that. And, but like life's too short not to go see your family.
Yeah.
And, what if I get COVID and I never see my family again? So I'm also on the fence now where it's like, okay, I'm going to be safe and I'm still going to go and do the things that I enjoy doing and seeing my family and, go on a vacation, just do it safely and know that I'm vaccinated. So there's it's like a rock and a hard place. Like shouldn't be traveling, but also like I may never have the opportunity to do it again,
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, where it's, the good news is it feels like Omicron, or I call it Optimus Prime because I don't ever know if I'm saying it right. But it seems to be a little more mild compared to like the Delta and, Alpha and whatever. And like my nephew had it. I have another family member who just got it, who's, real young because, the kids can't get vaccinated. And it seems, because that's really like my big concern is like, I'm vaccinated. I've got the booster. Like if I get it, I'm probably going to be okay. But for the kids getting it was the thing that was really scary to me. And so from what I understand, like little kids are bouncing back pretty quickly from it because it is so mild. It's just, it's like you said, it's like I don't want her to grow up being like, you have to be afraid of everything and you can't see. I mean, you're already, a toddler who's like, for half of my life, I've had to wear a mask anytime I go anywhere. I don't want you to be, afraid of going to grandma's or, you know what I mean? So it's a really weird, like hard line to walk, you know what I mean? Especially when your family lives, because you said your family lives a couple hours away from you, right? So it's like, if I want to go see my family and we want to drive, it's like a 9-hour drive. So it's, yeah. So it's, I don't know. It's a challenge. I'm glad that you're holding up well. And, I know it's weird too, because I feel like, even with you not working with COVID patients, like the way that it's kind of spreading right now is like, if you're dealing with any sizable population of or sizable amount of the population, like you still run that risk, which has got to be a little like,
yes.
Yeah. Like, I hope I don't talk to the wrong person today. You know what I mean?
Right. Because you don't know where, you're talking to someone's loved one. You don't know who they've been around. If they're vaccinated, they have to wear a mask in the hospital, but we don't ask vaccination status and all that. So you're encountering all these people that you wouldn't necessarily encounter on a regular basis. And so you're always at risk of the exposure, which is scary. So you just try to be as safe as you can. My family, my mom and my sister and I do the Louisiana Marathon. This would have been our third year to do it. We did it the first year before COVID. Yeah, this would be the third year. The third one. And then last year they had changed so I didn't end up running with them. But this year we were supposed to go this weekend. It was supposed to be yesterday and today and meet them in Baton Rouge. To my sister and my nephew was going to do his first half. My sister's probably like 10th. I don't know. And then me and my mom decided we were going to do the quarter marathon and just be quarter queens because my mom said she's getting too old to do a half. But my whole family had COVID this week. So we canceled that. And they're thankfully getting better and all kind of getting over it now. But, there was a time where my sister was like, well, I'll still come. And I was like, well, you need to go your son has COVID. Like you're going to go get tested on Thursday night or Friday morning. And then depending on what that says, determines if I'll come stay in a hotel room with you. If you have COVID, like I'm not coming and you shouldn't go. And so she didn't get COVID, thankfully, but we canceled our little running trip. But so it's always there. There's always the risk. And, even going to a restaurant that, you're not really doing outdoor seating as much because it's cold. So you're always, always at risk of exposure, which is the scary part. But, thankfully people aren't getting too sick with Optimus Prime. So,
yeah. Well, and also it's good to know that your sister has run 10 full marathons and she's a full-blown psychopath. That's how I feel about people like that. I'm like,
she's probably done 10 halves. She's probably done a handful of fulls, maybe like 5. Yeah.
So she's 10 half marathons is 5 full marathons. And just, I'm like, you're a psychopath. When I was like in like my best shape ever, I was doing like 20 miles a week on the treadmill at Planet Fitness. And I was like, I'm a superhero. And then I see somebody doing like, I've done 10 marathons. I'm like,
oh, she just went and casually ran 15 miles yesterday.
Yeah, I don't understand your brain. There's a body buried somewhere. That's the only thing I can think. It's I don't know. It's really weird. It's just like, like you said, it's like you go out to dinner, or like we have we're in the South, so you can throw a tennis ball and hit a Dollar General in like any direction, so like I got to run up and get, pull-ups or something like that. And it's like, please don't get too close to me. You know what I mean? And down, at least here, it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, if I go to the grocery store, I'm like one of the only people in a mask, and I feel like an asshole, like for some reason, where I'm like,
you feel like people are judging you when you have your mask on. I'm like,
like look at this,
myself and you. So
yeah, like look at this beta, like wearing your mask out in public. I'm like, hey man, like I don't
want to be sick. After hearing how my family sounded on the phone this week, I'm like, oh no, they sounded terrible.
Yeah, my nephew got it, and he's a couple months, maybe a year younger than my daughter, and my sister and my brother-in-law, they were both fine. They were like, yeah, we didn't get it. And they have a newborn, a couple months old, and she got vaccinated when she was pregnant, and the baby was fine, didn't get it. So it's just weird. You know what I mean? It feels like you don't know who it's going to affect, like we have a bunch of ivermectin. We just take it every day, like a multivitamin, and hopefully we're all good. So we're gonna get pulled from every platform. I'm joking.
We do not put a little thing at the bottom. We do not take ivermectin.
No. Last time you were on the show, we had talked a little bit about, was it nice because you had just come off of Married at First Sight? It was like pretty recently after the finale had aired. And we talked a little bit about like how you would still occasionally get recognized, like even with your mask on. And I was curious, now that it's like 2 or 3 seasons later, do you still get recognized, or has that kind of died down a little bit? Or are there still people that are like, oh my God, I know you? Or like, is it like, I know you, but I don't know where from kind of thing?
Yeah, I get more of people staring. I still get recognized, and it comes in spurts. It'll be like, I'll just be sitting there, and like these people are just staring at me. And my whole thing is like, just wave. Because even if you think you know me, like I'm going to wave back. I'm a nice person.
Right.
It's like I'll be sitting there eating dinner, and I feel so self-conscious because I feel like someone's just like staring at me. Like you can just feel eyes on you. So I'm always like, just wave, say hello. But yeah, it comes in waves. Like there'll be times where it happens 3-4 times in a week, and then it'll be like 2 weeks and nobody says anything. But I do get like weird like stares. And so I don't know if it's just like me being paranoid, or people be like, I think I know who that person is. But everybody's that has said something is like really chill about it. I'm like, I'm a normal person. Like I'm just like anybody else. I just happen to be on a TV show.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it the last time that you were here, but like, I think as far as the way that it played out, like you got the raw end of the deal. And I know when I know like the whole time that we were watching your season, I was like, no, this shouldn't be going on. You know what I mean? So I wonder if there's a lot of people that are in like the same camp where it's like kind of got the short end of the stick. You know what I mean? I think the other thing too, we live in, before COVID, like we used to we're 20 minutes from Nashville. So we go downtown and
you see all kinds of people.
Well, I saw Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter, and she walked in and I was like, where do I know her from? Did I go to high school with her? Like I couldn't place it. You know what I mean? And then like 10 minutes later, it clicked in my head. I was like, oh, okay. Like all right, I know who that is. But it's like, it's that weird moment where like you see somebody, but you're like,
can't place it.
Yeah. I was like, for sure I graduated with her. I was like, we have to go.
My question is she 6 feet tall?
She's so big. She was there with and not like it. I don't mean that. And like,
yeah, she's just a tall girl. Yeah. Like her dad is Hulk Hogan. Let's be real.
Right. Yeah, she was there with some guys. And she had to be like 6 inches. Now she was in heels, but like still felt like even without the heels, like she was significantly taller than these guys. You know what I mean? Where she's just like patting them on the head. Like, thanks for coming out.
I had a funny celebrity sighting one time. So I lived in Iowa City before I lived in New Orleans. And so I was living there with my ex-boyfriend. And we just decided one random night when it was cold and snowy to go to the grocery store. It was around Christmas time, and we were just walking through the grocery store, and I kept seeing him look at this girl, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, we are in the grocery store grocery shopping. So I finally like called him out. I'm like, who do you keep staring at? And he's like, this girl, like, I swear I know her. And I'm like, okay, let's go find her. Who is it? Right. And so we turn the corner, and all of a sudden he's like, I swear I know her. I know who that is. It was Mila Kunis walking through the grocery store in Iowa City. And that was like his celebrity crush. And I was like, go talk to her. Like, it was right after her and Ashton had just had their first baby or their first child or whatever. I don't know if they had any more since then, but he was from Cedar Rapids. So they were there for the holidays. And I was like, just say hello. And he's like, oh, I can't. Like, I can't go talk to her. And I was like, you've missed out on your one opportunity of your biggest celebrity crush. And she's just wearing a long puffy coat. She's got her hair in a bun like me with boots on. Like, she looks like a regular person. But he kept saying, I know her. I swear I know her. I'm like, you don't know her. And he's like, it's Mila Kunis. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like if you're just like, hey, big fan, you know what I mean?
Just like, say like, hey Mila, just like walk past her nonchalant.
Yeah, if you're not like, if you're not like, let me get a picture with you in the middle of the groceries, you know what I mean? Then they're probably pretty cool. I met... I'm from Michigan, and I grew up halfway between Detroit and Ann Arbor. So, if you wanted to go to, Ann Arbor and go to like University of Michigan, big college town, was like a 10, 15 minute drive. And we had been out drinking all night. And earlier in the night, we were at this like bar/restaurant, and I saw a guy, and I was like, that guy looks like Brian Posehn. And if you don't know who that is, he was on like Just Shoot Me. He's a stand-up comedian. He's a big dude, red hair, very like weird looking. Like if you, but I was like, that guy looks just like him. And later on, we had been drinking all night, and later on, we're walking down the street, and I look up, and it's Brian Posehn and Chris Pratt, and we're filming the 5-year Engagement, which was like a Jason Segel movie. Chris Pratt at that time, I think, was only on like Parks and Rec. Like, he was still like chubby, like fun dude. Yeah. And I remember my buddies freaking out because Chris Pratt was there, but I'm like a stand-up comedy nerd. And I was like, Brian Posehn, like, just like freaked out. And I was hammered. I was like, can you take a picture? No, it's not cool if I ask you to take a picture, man. I'm a big, like, just like.
Did you get the picture?
No, I had been drinking so much. I was like self-regulating, like out loud. I was like, I will seem like a jerk. I'm like wasted. But I stood
in the Apple store the other day, next, like literally like face to face with Alvin Kamara. And he was just hanging out, getting his new iPhone. And I'm like, hey, I know those. I know his little squinty eyes. He has his mask on, so you couldn't see his big, pretty smile. But I was like, that's Alvin Kamara. Pretty certain that's who that is.
What is he from?
He's from the New Orleans Saints. He's our running back.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I was like, the name sounds really familiar. Yeah. It's see, you see that dude in the Apple store, and I think like our tight end or something just got caught like fist fighting in a Walgreens in downtown. Something ridiculous. But yeah, it's like is that something like, because I know you say you get that anxiety where you kind of feel like somebody's staring at you, like, is that something that like you feel like you've kind of come to manage a little bit better, has it gotten better for you since it first started? Because it's got to be kind of strange for people who are like diehard fans of the show. Like,
and at first I would just be like, people would come up to me and they'd be like, I feel like I know you, and I'm like, do you go to Tulane? Not, oh, okay. I'm like, how do I know you? Like, what do you go to the, like, were you a patient of mine? Like,
you on the bowling league on Thursday night?
Do I see you at trivia? Is that where I know you from?
Right.
No. So then I was like, okay, Olivia, like obviously you were on a TV show, and so people are going to recognize you. But it still catches me off guard because in my mind, like I said, I am a regular person, and I just happen to be on a TV show. And then of course I was like, oh, nobody watches Lifetime. You'd be surprised.
Oh yeah. Do you watch You at all on Netflix with Joe Goldberg?
I have not watched the 3rd season yet though.
Okay. I won't spoil it, but
I've seen the 2 episodes, I think. So I'm supposed to be watching it with my old neighbor, but we haven't gotten together.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it when it came out on Lifetime, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm watching the show. The show was amazing, and it was so good.
Yeah, it's great.
But like, I'd tell my friends, like, because I think the first season came out before COVID, so I'd be like, no, guys, I gotta get home. My Lifetime show's on. So like between that and Married at First Sight, like my man card is barely hanging in.
There's so many men who watch it. I mean, people will just watch. People like mindless television. That's what I think of reality TV. Something you don't have to really think about. It's just on, like the Housewives, the Kardashians, all that. I'm like, it's just mindless TV. It's not something that you have to focus on. And like Succession, that's what I'm watching right now. I'm like, you have to pay attention. So like, if I'm not in the mood to pay attention, you just put on mindless reality TV. You don't have to know what's happening. You can still figure it out.
See, I'm a true crime guy. So anytime like a new like Netflix, like they just did like the Times Square killer on Netflix, and I was like, as soon as it came out, I was like, I'm watching all 3 episodes like right now.
Okay, good. I turned it on, but it was just kind of slow to start, so I just didn't.
It picks up. The first one is, and then there's one on Hulu right now, which is about like this time period in the 70s where like all of the serial killers were like active at one time, and that one is really intense because it's like, like all the stuff was going on, like literally within like a year, there was like 7 serial killers out there, just,
Yeah, that's my jam. And then, I've been by myself for so long. So I'm just like, there'll be times where I'm sitting here at night and I'm like, I have to quit watching this. Like I was just watching Dateline over and over and over one night. Because I just rigged and I got one of those antennas for Christmas because I refused to pay for cable. So I just kept watching Dateline one night and I was freaking myself out. I was like, I have to go to bed. I cannot keep watching this. I need to turn on like Disney to get my mind clear before I go to bed, or else I'm going to think that someone's breaking into my house every 5 seconds when clearly nothing's happening. If you ever want to turn the Johnversations podcast into like a true crime, call me and I will be your partner in crime.
Dude, let's start a separate one. I'm 100% down with that. I think that would be very, very fun. I was thinking about that the other day, like just like jump into true crime, like documentaries, or we'll talk about that off air, but I'm 110%. I'll send over a contract. We'll get
it. I'm ready. I love everything crime. I love everything crime.
I love everything crime. That's the name of the podcast. Everything crime.
Yeah, everything crime.
Did you watch the Night Stalker one?
No, I don't.
On Netflix? Dude, they caught this dude like 20 years ago. And I'm like, after that, before I go to bed, all my windows locked, all my doors locked, like getting out of bed to make sure that I lock the door. Like I would get in bed and be like, am I sure? Then like double check in. Oh my God. That's the only place I have OCD is where I'm like, did I lock the door?
Did I lock the door? Mm-hmm.
Like I'll wake up from a dead sleep and be like, did I lock the door? Like 2 a.m, just go and make sure everything's locked up. But
and then there's people like in Iowa. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Iowa, you don't have to. People don't lock their doors. They sleep with their windows open. It's just a different world. And then coming to New Orleans, where crime is just crazy, I was like, oh, like I have to make sure the door's locked. One night I slept with my car keys in the front door. It was pouring down rain, and I had to park behind my house. And soaking wet, running up to the door. I guess I just forgot to take the keys out of the door. I was just trying to get inside, and it stormed all night long. So I think that was my only like saving grace of like no one's taking my car keys, one coming into my house or taking my car. But I woke up the next morning, I was like trying to find my car keys, and they were in my door the entire night outside.
You're lucky there was no robber with an umbrella.
I know.
I'm looking for.
I was like, if it was not storming, everything of mine would have been gone.
Well, I grew up in Michigan, and we did not lock our door. I don't remember, maybe at night, but like my mom came home when I was in high school, and 2 of my friends were just in the kitchen making like 3 pounds of scrambled eggs.
Everybody knew in my
like,
house.
hey.
Yeah, my house growing up before my parents remodeled it, you could just lift open the kitchen like the carport door window. It didn't have a lock on it, and it literally just slid up. It was about, yay wide, but I would forget my house key all the time. And so little old Olivia would climb through the window, like handstand into the kitchen, trying to get into the house, or lift it up and stick your hand in, and depending on what lock was locked. And so everybody knew that, like, if you needed to get in my house, you could just slide open the door and reach your hand in, and ta-da, you're in the house.
Oh yeah.
And it was never, no one ever thought anything weird of it.
Yeah, we had when I met my wife, I was living in an apartment with one of my best friends, and it was like mid-20s, just drinking a lot. Neither one of us had a girlfriend. So, it was just kind of like bachelor pad. And we realized that we had the window that, like, the living room was a big window, but then the two sides kind of slid to the middle. And we realized that you could just, even if it was locked, you would just lift it up and the whole window would come out.
Just come on.
Yeah. So, like, we'd be at the bar one night and, like, be like, oh man, we forgot our keys. Yes, where we live, we could walk to, like, a couple different bars. And we'd be like, no, we forgot our keys. So, like, 2 a.m, we'd be just popping the window off of our own apartment and climbing.
I don't even think y'all are robbing the place.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because the place that we lived at, it was kind of like 60s style. So it was like a half circle with an upstairs and downstairs. And then everybody had like a shared balcony when you came outside. And we lived with all senior citizen women in the building. So they were all just like, oh, it's just those boys. They're just coming home.
I'm surprised I didn't have a house key for you.
So I did want to ask you as well. Speaking of celebrity sightings, we are a Selling Sunset house as well. And I did see on Instagram where you did meet the Oppenheim twins. How, what was that experience like? Because when I watched the show, I'm like, I wonder, like, what they would be like in person. You know what I mean?
So, funny story. So I had heard of Selling Sunset, but I've never watched it at the time. And so I actually went to LA to take some time for me. And I spent some time with Paria. And she was taking me around town, and we went to this, it was big, something, cappuccino something, and coffee maker or coffee. Oh, I can't even think of the name of the place. Anyways, we were just sitting there, and we were sitting outside just having brunch. And their thing is like this rainbow colored latte. So we went and had brunch there, and she was like, oh, those are the guys from Selling Sunset. And I'm like, okay, who are they? Right. No clue who they were. So then she's friends with their producer. And so she had texted the producer, and so they ended up coming out to us because the producer had texted them and said that her friend was there. And so they are like in this little private little area, kind of in their own table in a little window, and we're sitting outside. And so all of a sudden one of them comes up and steps out and is like, Paria? And she just turns around. So then of course they come over and they talk, and they're the nicest people, just really casual on, I think it was the weekend I was there, and we took our pictures with them, and I was like, this is hilarious. Like, I just met these people, no clue who they are, but I'm gonna post about them because everybody knows Selling Sunset.
Yeah, I would like to think like they're working part-time where they're like, Paria, and then they've got the rainbow latte.
Right. But their office is literally right across the street from this place. I forget what the name of the place is. Something about a cappuccino maker. Something in a cappuccino maker. But it was really good. The food was delicious. But they go there a lot apparently because their office is across the street. But they were just there, in their casual clothes, like they just finished working out or whatnot, just having brunch. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like, I feel like we should, post about this and make a TV show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's I got in that show the same way that I got into Married at First Sight, where Kara gets the remote, like I'm doing something, and then I come in and she's watching. I'm like, what is this? Like, all right. And then like 2 episodes later, I'm like, wait, Christine did what? Like, because it's on, I just become so like invested in the storyline. Yeah. But yeah, the new season just came out. She's been watching. I haven't been tuned in as much, but because we're, with her being in school for a master's program, we're kind of on, like, I'm working, she's doing homework stuff, and kind of not, same TV watching schedule, but yeah, she got me sucked into it, man. And then they show all these houses where we're like, oh yeah, we'll never afford anything like this. You know what I mean? Like we could.
Their commission checks alone are ridiculous. I'm like, so all I have to do is just dress up real nice every day, get a little bit of Botox, and sell houses, and I can make how much money?
Yeah, if I got Botox, I don't think it would help me. I think I would just like my face would freeze in some weird way.
We'll stick to our Trime podcast.
True Trime. So yeah. So if you ever get a chance, look up the Northville, Michigan thrill kill. Happened right across the street from my house that I grew up in. And
you lived there?
Yes. And the kid that did it, I have known since he was like 5 years old. But it's
Northville thrill kill.
Yeah. It's I remember. What is that?
Like, is it a show? Like, is there a show about
No. If you just Google it, it'll bring up the story, and some podcasts have touched on it. Like some true crime podcasts have touched on it. But essentially this kid across the street from me lured some dude into his grandpa's garage his grandpa lived across the street from me, lured this dude into his garage, like murdered this dude, cut his head off, all this like crazy stuff. And I was sitting on my front porch when I was a younger man. I would, indulge in some botanical pleasures when I was younger. And so I was sitting on my front porch, and I must have been like 19, maybe like 20. And I was sitting on my front porch, and I see Plymouth police car, and then a Canton police car, and then Northville police car, and then Michigan State Police. And they all get out of their cars and they start walking right towards my driveway. And I'm like, I've got to. I was like, I got like less than a gram of weed. Like, this is a lot of what's going on. And they all get to my driveway and they just go right across the street. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. It was so scary. But
like, I'm not doing anything, I swear.
Yeah,
you don't feel anything.
I'm just sitting here. I'm not, But it's crazy. Yeah, if we do a true crime podcast, we can jump into that.
We can do on it. I will start my research now.
For sure. I am definitely down.
Remind me to tell you a story offline about
for sure. I did want to ask you this. So, we had talked a little bit the first time that you were on, kind of, about like meeting people now that you had done the show and things like that. And, not to be like, so who you dating, but like, has that like, with COVID and just things being weird, and then you doing the TV show on top of it, like, is that something that is kind of been on a radar for you, or are you just kind of like, I'm doing my thing now, or you know what I mean? Like, has it still been like kind of weird? Because we had talked about that, like this just being, for us being older, this is just kind of like, like the whole like Tinder thing and all that stuff is just weird. So like, how has that experience been, if there's even been an experience, I guess?
I am the worst person. So one of my goals for this year is to really try to date. I just don't, I've been in kind of a work rut here in the last couple months, and just feel like, to truly like start dating and be dating someone, I feel like you have to be in a really good headspace, or not a really good headspace, but a better headspace. And I just feel like right now I'm working on getting over this work burnout feeling. And I haven't really made it a priority, which I never really made dating a priority, which is clearly why I married a stranger. But I get on. I have like Bumble, and I have the League, and I think I dabbled in Hinge, but I don't have that on my phone anymore. And like sometimes I'll lay in.
What is the League? I haven't heard. I know there was a TV show called The League about fantasy football that I loved, but I did not know that there was like a dating app called The League.
So it's supposed to be like for professionals, and you have to be invited to it. But they only give you 3 options a day. And so then I just forget about it. And so there's only 3, like, I don't know. I don't pay for any of this stuff. So I'm sure if I paid for it, you might get more options. But right now I only get 3 a day. And so I don't really get on it. And then there'll be some nights where I'll just lay in bed and I'll just like go through Bumble and I just find myself just superficially swiping left. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So not dating. There's no lovable man sitting next to me tonight. But I'm going to try to be better. And, I feel like there's so many different ways to like date now that there's COVID and people are like making like Zoom dates kind of, more social and acceptable, I guess. And just being, doing dates outside. But I don't know. One of these days, I will find somebody.
Oh,
but for right now, I'm just so content. I was reading something the other day that it was like, I've been single so long that I'm just like fine being by myself, like basically. And it was in a funny way, but I'm just really enjoying my house and being at home and trying to like turn it into something. And yeah, working. And I'm actually in school too.
Oh, what are you going for?
I'm getting a postmaster's. I'm just doing a different certification for nurse practitioner.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in my second semester of that. So it's like between work and, school and just trying to stay afloat, keep the house together and organized it's enough.
Yeah, I'm working on my Postmates, but they haven't accepted my application yet. So I'm still no, but I think that's cool though. It's like, I think that there is. So for example, like when I met my wife, she lived in Nashville. I lived in Michigan. And so she came and stayed with me over a summer while she was on break from her college classes. And then we were like, well, we, really enjoyed that. And this kind of sucks. So I was like, I'm just going to move. And there's something about like putting yourself in a situation, like moving across the country or buying a home or jumping into school that kind of challenges you to like grow in ways that you're not really expecting. And I think those things in the end, like make you stronger, more prepared, if and when that relationship comes along, you know what I mean? Because then you've invested the work in yourself, you know what I mean? So
even just looking at, so February will be 2 years since I got married. Excuse me. And just thinking about where I was 2 years ago at this time and where I am now, and just that amount of time, like the growth, the things you think about, the stuff that you value has just changed. Like I try not to sweat the small stuff as much anymore. I'm really just trying to this sounds greedy, but I'm really just trying to put me first and focus on me. Cause like I said, I'm going through a little rough spot with, feeling burnt out and work. And I'm sure everybody can relate with that, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just start. I bought a book called Boundaries, and it's like how to say yes, when to say no, and to get your life back. And so I'm like, that's what I'm working on this year. Like how to make healthy relationships, set boundaries, put myself first, and make myself a priority. Because I think if I put myself first, then I'd be like, okay, I'm really going to try to like actually do this dating thing and make it a priority. I just don't, because I keep my schedule busy with, working and school. And, I try to be as social as I can with friends, but sometimes there's just days where you just want to come home and do nothing. And I do that. But yeah. So I'm working on it.
See, we're the opposite that way, where that's my default mode. Like I am an introvert. I've got like people that I enjoy spending time with, but if I didn't have to leave my house for like 6 weeks at a time, I wouldn't get a haircut. I'd just let my beard grow. I would come out and be like, it's so bright. But that's just me. And I think, that's a good thing about like being with my wife and stuff like that. She's a very social person. So we balance each other out. Like she kind of stops me from going full caveman and all that. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like, with what you're talking about, it's, do you think it's kind of like working with you to the point, or working out to the point where it's like you kind of have narrowed down, if you are going to make it a priority or something like that, like this is what I'm looking for, as opposed to just like, this dude's cute, let me swipe right on Bumble. And
like I don't have enough free time. I have plenty of free time. Let me rephrase that. After a long day of talking and answering questions and just constantly using your brain and, being in life and death situations, I don't want to talk about myself or get to know anybody. And there's days where I don't want to do anything. And the last thing I want to do is just like talk and try to get to know somebody. And so I think that's my biggest like halt in dating is it's like, okay, so like now I have to like put on makeup and fix my hair and go talk about myself and talk, get to know somebody. And that's just a lot of pressure.
Oh, for sure. I thought you were going to say after a long day of working and talking and using my brain, the last thing I want to do is be on a podcast. So
no, I don't mind that.
no, yeah, hopefully, this doesn't feel like you're just kind of talking about yourself, but no, I mean, I get it, man. I don't know. I tell my wife all the time, I was like, if for some reason you were to leave me tomorrow, like I would just be like, I'm done. Like, yeah. I had a good run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say that I'm picky. It's just like, I'm so content by myself. Like of course I want to grow old with somebody and, have a person, but like right now I'm 32. I'm just fine by myself that I don't want to just like settle for somebody, which is partially why I'm divorced, because if you're not, every relationship, you're going to have your flaws. You're going to have to work on things and it's going to be tough. It's work. It's a relationship. You're trying to put two people or very different people together and make a relationship out of it, a healthy one. And so I just think life's too short to settle on things. And so the last thing I want to do is just go date every night and just have these, meaningless conversations that maybe one of them might take off and, go somewhere. And so I'm like, I would just rather like spend time with my friends or my family or just be at home with my animals and
things that bring you joy,
Yeah, like, work on my house. Like I built a Weber grill. It was tough.
Yeah, I put together a grill. That shit sucks. It takes forever.
Yes. It was like I opened the book and I'm very much an instruction reader. I hate when my dad was here this during New Year's and he was trying to like help me put stuff together. And I was like, here, read the instructions. Like,
I'm an extra pieces guy. Like when I'm done, I've got like 4 extra pieces. I'm like, it's there. It's
together, standing. And so I opened the book to see how many steps it would take. So I'm like, if it's like 20 steps, it'll be fine. It was 47.
Yeah, we bought my daughter one of those like kids kitchen sets for her birthday last year. And I like procrastinated. I was like, it's a kid's kitchen set. Like, how hard is it going to be? It took me a day and a half. And there were so many screws. I didn't have a drill. I just had a screwdriver. So I was just in here cursing and like, I couldn't close my hand the next day because there was literally like 300 screws. And I was like, if this kid does not play with this, I'm going to lose my damn mind.
And like in a year, you're going to be giving it away because she's not going to play with it anymore. Well, she's 3. She'll play with it first.
Yeah, she loves it. She just got an ice cream scooper kit. It's like little, it's like a little ice cream cone with like magnetized ice cream. And she's just ice cream for sale. And I'm like, I've had 47 cones of ice cream. I don't want any more ice cream. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I think I can't imagine. First of all, I can't imagine being a woman on a dating app anyway. Like we were talking to a family member who was on, and she was like, "Yeah, I talked to this guy. He seemed really nice, and then I was working, and he texted me, and I was at work. I work at a hospital, and I couldn't text him back right away, and he was like, I don't want to talk to you if you are just going to ignore me, like whatever, Yeah. I can't imagine like it feels like it's like a 3 in 5 chance you're going to get a psychopath.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and then you have to like, I have everyone can see my location. I'm like, I have nothing to hide. Like my mom knows where I'm at. Mm-hmm. My sister knows where I'm at. My best friends know where I'm at. My roommate knows where I'm at. Like people know where I'm at because I'm a single gal. Like anything can happen to me and all of a sudden I'm just missing.
Yep.
And if I go on a date or something, I'm like, I'm going here. And if I'm not home by this time, I need you to call and check on me and make sure that I'm okay. Because it's a scary world in general. And then you don't know who you're talking to on the other end. And then the whole catfish thing. I haven't been catfished yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
I don't know if you have Discovery Plus, but if you want to watch something that is, I will I don't know if I should say that. I'll give you my login if you want to watch it, but it's called Undercover Underage. And it's about this lady who's like 35, but she dresses up and like as like a 15-year-old and like has this house with like room set up like a teenage, and she's essentially just like baiting predators online. It is the craziest show I have ever seen. When we were talking about catfish, like you just, you don't know who you're talking to. Yeah. Or like, like there needs to be a dating app that like has like a mandatory background check built into it.
Yeah, because like, you have no clue who these people are, and you're just looking at them based off what they say and what they look like. But heck, all those pictures, I mean, my photos are all over the internet. Like everybody's pictures are all over the internet. Anybody could make a profile about like and say that they're me. I would never know. Somebody could be around saying they're Amanda and it's case, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's really weird too, because it's like, it just feels like it's such a, because I think we were talking about it before, but like kind of like the old, like you just meet somebody and like there's like an interesting conversation that happens, like it happens organically, where very much kind of like social media, it seems like people are just trying to kind of put their very few people go on social media, crying their eyes out, being like, I didn't get this promotion today. It's, it's like, I'm on my trip to Bali, or, you know what I mean? Like, here's my best self. And I feel like dating apps are kind of the same way, where it's like, here's all the good stuff about me. Hang out with me for 6 months and you'll find out that I'm really bipolar. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. And I've met people on there that I have become friends with, that I still, that I hang out with and talk to. And so you just don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get. And like I said, this year I'm going to try to date and make a priority and get, I'm getting more involved in with like New Orleans opening up a little bit. Like we're having Mardi Gras this year, so all those festivities are happening. And so like just trying to get out there and be in an environment with your friends where you have the opportunity to meet someone organically. So I'm hopeful for that this year, and we'll just see what happens. And maybe 6 months when we meet again, I'll have an update.
For sure.
Hey. Really, I can't be single forever, right? Like something's got to give every once in a while.
So you have too much going for you to be single forever. And even if you were single forever, that just means that a lot of dudes missed out. You know what I mean? And it means that you have a high set of standards. Because, like you said, you don't want to say, I'd tell people all the time, I don't know why my wife married me. She went way below her station. You know what I mean? So I'm
probably a smitten kitten.
I was a very smitten kitten. Yeah, and I'm one of those dudes that when my life is not going well, like before I look my best when I am severely depressed. That's when all the weight comes off. And then once I'm happy, I'm fat and sassy. Once I'm happy, you know what I mean? Right. But so yeah, she met me like peak depression. I was looking great, a lot of, but no, I just like, I don't think you will be single forever. That doesn't make sense to me, but it is like, I don't know. It's interesting to see, like from the first time we spoke, you were living in your old house. You were like, you're talking about things that you were wanting to get done and kind of work on at that point. So to, kind of sit down and talk with you a year later and just see like, yeah, I bought a house. Like I'm working on A, B, and C and setting boundaries. Like, how has it been? Because boundaries is a big thing. My wife's a social worker, so mental health and all that. Boundaries is a big thing in our house and our communication. How has that been for you? Like, have you found it to be, because I feel like a lot of people have a hard time putting those boundaries in place, or like you feel guilty for being like, I'm setting this boundary. So has it been working out okay for you? Has there been any challenge to it?
Oh, very much so. And I'm an open book. I've been in therapy, working with a therapist on like how to make healthy boundaries. And, I'm sure everybody has like deep rooted problems that you talk to with the therapist. But like really when I go see her, I'm just like, okay, just let's have a conversation and let's figure out by what I'm telling you, how we can fix it. And just certain things will like trigger, just something as simple as like unforwarding my work phone to my personal phone at the end of each day. Like I don't do that because the convenience of just carrying one cell phone is plenty. But it's like, okay, every day I just need to go back to either carrying 2 phones or I need to unforward my phone calls. So just little stuff like that. So it's just like hearing that, like her say, like, yeah, I set boundaries, but I also know, like, if I need to work on a Saturday, that I'm okay with letting that boundary slide. Like I don't bring work home, but if I need to do extra work, then I need to know what my limit is and how you can make it like a healthy boundary. Come here. I have a cat who can't really jump, who just jumps across. I hate having cats on counters. It grosses me out. And this cat can jump from like a wine fridge, the wine fridge my ex-husband bought me on the show for our 1 year or 1 month.
Well, I was like 1 year. What did I miss?
Surprise. No. So she jumps on the counter and she just like launched across the other counter to the island. And then she just looked up at the refrigerator like, how can I get up there?
I was just talking about when I was growing up, I had a cat named Yahtzee, and he got really accustomed to eating, like, we gave him cat food, but I don't know if your cat does this, but it likes like people food. So like if my family ordered pizza when I was a kid, like into my teenage years, like we'd have the pizza box and you had to watch because we would come in the kitchen and he would be on the counter eating the pepperoni off of the pizza. And my mom's cat now likes popcorn. She like tries to eat popcorn and bread. Yeah, it's really weird.
Was it the only human food that the cats really like? That those nothing bundt cakes?
Mm-hmm.
They love the icing.
Oh, really? They just lick it, put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yahtzee would eat if anything he could get into. He was also like, we had 2 dogs and a cat, and so Yahtzee very quickly became kind of aligned with what the dogs did. So like Yahtzee would go out we had a litter box. He wouldn't use it. He would go outside to go to the bathroom. So he would go up to the door and put his paw on the door. And that let us know he'd want to go out. You'd let him out. He'd go to the bathroom and then he'd just sit at the door when he was ready to come back in. He was like house trained like the dogs. And then anything the dogs that would get into, he's like, oh, that looks good. And so he would try to get into it. He was very strange. Best pet I've ever had. In my when I was in high school, my high school girlfriend, her mom fostered cats, and he was very sick, and so like I kind of took a liking to him, and fed him and got him better. And then it was time, either somebody needed to adopt him, or he had to go back, go back to the shelter to hopefully be adopted. And I was like, I'll take him. So he was my little buddy. I had him since like I could fit him in the palm of my hand. So it's like I don't want to give you away,
Oh. Those are the best.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm on my last cats, I think.
Think so?
It's hard to evacuate with cats in a hurricane.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah, they're not like dogs. You can't be like, come here. Nope. Do your cats have a hard time in the carrier?
They just don't like it. Once I get them in there, they just kind of like sit there and don't move. And then every now and then they'll like meow. But then like once I got to my cousin's house, my cousin has 2 cats. So she just left hers in like her like oasis of a room. Mm-hmm. But they just like ran the house like it was their house. So once we got there, they were fine. No issues. Like got them a litter box and set it all up and they were fine. But then just when it was time to get back in the car, it's not fun. Ricky pees the car every time.
Yeah. When I moved out of my mom's house when I was younger, where I moved, I couldn't take my cat with me. So my sister ended up taking him, and then she ended up moving and she could take him with him, but he had gotten so used to like going in and out, and they were in an apartment, so he couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So she bought him one of those cat vests with the leash on it, and she would take him outside and like walk him like a dog. Oh. People just looked at her like she was crazy. They're like, what are you doing? But well, I wanted to, first of all, I want to say thank you. I know that we've been going for a little while here, and I appreciate you coming back. And it is always so much fun to talk to you. And I found myself just as excited, if not more excited, for the second conversation than for the first. But one thing I kind of wanted to make sure that we talked about is I know that, charity, nonprofits, really just finding ways to, help serve others is a big passion of yours and something that's important to you. We had talked a little bit before, but I know that you had been promoting Hogs for the Cause, and that's coming back in April. But is there anything that's kind of on the forefront to you right now where, people should be aware of, or anything that, you found recently has been I want to make sure if there's, something that you are invested in that helps other people, that we make sure that, we get that out. So, I mean, anything, kind of going on now or coming up soon?
Yeah, so Hogs for the Cause, if it's like a national foundation that I think was actually founded by a family in New Orleans whose child was diagnosed with pediatric brain cancer. And so it's a nonprofit that does a big barbecue and music festival in New Orleans, and they probably do them in other places, but it's definitely a big deal here. We like to have festivals with food and music in Louisiana in general. So yeah, I'll definitely be fundraising here starting very soon. Just had a meeting yesterday with some of my teammates, and just look out for on my Instagram. My Facebook is private still, but on my Instagram to donate. Even if anybody could just donate $1, it goes a long way when everybody we know donates $1. I know times are tough and it's hard to ask people for donations. You can have a tax. And it goes for a cause. There are kids, and it takes the burden off of the families financially. It helps them with housing, food, transportation. Some families have to go up to, St. Jude's in Memphis, close to you to get treatment, and parents can't work, or you have to go back and forth every so many weeks for treatments and stuff, or have to go see a specialist somewhere. So Hogs for the Cause is really about the families and just helping them while their kids are going through something very, very traumatic and scary for the whole family. So yeah, Hogs for the Cause will be the first weekend in April. So I'll be starting to post about fundraising and raising money and raising awareness about pediatric brain cancer, because you don't ever know who maybe going through something like this, where you're like, oh, I've heard of that. Like, why don't you reach out to their organization and see how it can help you? But yeah, raising money and helping others is something that I really do enjoy. I just adopted a child through the Child Fund in Ethiopia named Ashia. And, so I, send a little bit of money there and get pictures and can write letters back and forth that way. So it's always something I'm very passionate about. But yeah, Hogs for the Cause and donating will be on my Instagram very, very soon. So any listeners, feel free to donate to our team, Team Pig Latin. And I'll have my Venmo and everything on there as well. So.
And what is we'll put it in the show notes, but for people who are listening, who may be driving or watching on YouTube or something that, we want to keep them safe. What is your Instagram handle, just so that people can, make sure that they're checking that out?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Olivia_Cornu, CORNU. It's just my first and last name. The perks of no one having your name. But yeah, check out my Instagram. I'll be posting about it here real soon, just to get the word out and try to raise some money and awareness for the kids with cancer. So
yeah, and I can't imagine having a kid. I cannot imagine. Like, if something, knock on wood, I don't want the dogs to freak out, but, knock on wood, if something like that were to ever happen, like, I can't even begin to think of like how devastated or what kind of challenge that would be. And so to have an organization like that is there to help in those situations, I'm sure they make a huge difference to just, they're a blessing, I'm sure, to so many families. So if you are listening, please go follow Olivia right now. It's $1. You can, when she posts it, you can Venmo it. I know there's a website that you talk about as well, but just helping out and getting people some funds. And we are going to be partnering up, maybe doing some raffles and stuff like that for people who donate. So be on the lookout for that. And again, I just wanted to say thank you. I think one of the reasons I love talking to you so much is just so apparent that your heart is so big and that you not like an enlarged heart, like medical thing, but like, but like you've got like so much love and compassion and caring in you for others. And it's, you know, it's awesome to kind of be able to experience that. And like I said before, we're not a giant show, but if people are listening to this, you are exactly the kind of person that I would like to have on here and kind of share that message and get it out to people. So I did want to say thank you for being here. Would you stick around for a minute after we wrap up?
Absolutely. And thanks for having me. I enjoyed this. I have so much fun talking to you and just talking about anything, you know, and, you know, this is fun for me. So let's not make a year go by before we do this again.
Once we get offline, I'm not, as soon as we get offline, I want to start hammering out details. So, guys, this is what, episode 69. We were on a break for Christmas. So this is our first episode of 2022. So again, super excited that you were the guest to kick off the year. Just wanted to say again, thank you for being here. We will see you guys next week. Again, please follow Olivia on Instagram at Olivia_Cornu. Hit the link down in the show notes, and we will see you guys next time.